The Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket's origin story. Once upon a time, on a planet called Nowhere, the Guardians of the Galaxy had set up their base. They were a group of superheroes who were getting ready for their next adventure. Meanwhile, Rocket, a funny raccoon, was standing by the window in his room. Suddenly, a powerful being named Adam Warlock from another galaxy burst into the room and attacked Rocket. Luckily, Rocket managed to dodge the attack, but he needed help. Nebula, a cyborg warrior, arrived first to help Rocket. She tried to fight Adam Warlock, but he was too strong. He easily defeated her and pinned her down. The rest of the Guardians rushed to help Rocket, but even together, they couldn't defeat Adam Warlock. He was too powerful and unstoppable. Rocket tried to shoot him, but Adam Warlock struck him hard, leaving him wounded. Nebula refused to give up. She got up and stabbed Adam Warlock from behind, causing him pain. He quickly escaped from Nowhere, leaving the Guardians ready to attack him again. The Guardians rushed to Rocket, who was lying injured. They tried to heal his wounds with a device, but something went wrong. Rocket started shaking, and it seemed like the device was killing him. Nebula realized that Rocket had many devices inside him, including one connected to his heart. If they tried to heal him without removing that device, it would take his life. That's why Rocket was shaking. While unconscious, Rocket had flashbacks of his past. He remembered how he was once a small raccoon trapped in a cage. The High Evolutionary came and experimented on him, making him smarter and stronger. But then, Rocket was locked in another cell with other animals like him. Nebula examined Rocket's body and discovered where the devices inside him were made. They believed that if they went to that place, called Orbicorp, they might be able to heal Rocket. Peter, the leader of the Guardians, prepared his team for the mission. Meanwhile, the High Evolutionary, a mad and strange being, was angry that Rocket had escaped. He wanted Rocket at any cost and threatened Adam Warlock and his mother. If they failed to bring Rocket to him next time, he would kill their whole generation. The High Evolutionary had a strange vision of perfection. He traveled to different planets, capturing animals and creatures, and experimented on them to make them perfect in his eyes. Once upon a time, Rocket went to Earth and was amazed by all the animals and creatures he saw. He loved it so much that he decided to create a planet just like it. He named this planet Counter-Earth, a place that would look and feel just like Earth. Rocket and his team, the Guardians, flew their ship to Orbicorp. But before they could enter, some new people joined them on their ship. One of them was Gamora. They explained that Nebula had invited them and promised them a reward if they helped her. So they decided to support the Guardians in their mission. In Rocket's flashbacks, we learn that he was the best and most perfect experiment of the High Evolutionary. Rocket had a super fast brain compared to everyone else. The High Evolutionary tested Rocket's brain and realized how smart and clever he was. He showed Rocket Counter-Earth and a flying rocket, which amazed Rocket. The High Evolutionary took Rocket to a lab for more tests. He showed Rocket a chamber and put a turtle inside. He tried to change the turtle, but it became angry and aggressive instead. Rocket realized that there was a problem with the chamber machine. When he changed the animals, he also changed a chemical in their brain, making them aggressive. Rocket told the High Evolutionary that if he stopped that chemical from changing, the animals would be calm as he wanted. The High Evolutionary was amazed by Rocket's discovery and wanted to use Rocket's brain for his own project. He was angry that Rocket, a small animal, could be smarter than him. He decided to kill Rocket and take out his brain to experiment on it. He also planned to kill Rocket's friends because he saw them as useless. Rocket was locked in his cell again and told his friends about the High Evolutionary's plan to kill them. They knew they had to escape. Rocket made a key and used it to open his cell. However, the High Evolutionary arrived and shot one of Rocket's friends, killing them instantly. The High Evolutionary threatened to kill the rest of Rocket's friends and take out his brain right away. Devastated and angry, Rocket attacked the High Evolutionary and ripped off his face in a fit of rage. One day, Rocket Raccoon found himself trapped and needed to escape. He managed to get out and hopped into a spaceship. Phew, he escaped from the clutches of the High Evolutionary. Meanwhile, the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy, along with Gamora, went to a planet called Orbicorp. They searched the main area and found a rocket file. Curious, they brought it back to their ship and opened it. Inside the file, they discovered the story of Rocket's past. They saw the terrible things that the High Evolutionary had done to him. It was heartbreaking to watch, and Nebula felt really sorry for Rocket. The Guardians also learned about a device in Rocket's heart that prevented him from being healed. They wanted to remove it, but the code to do so had been deleted from the rocket file. However, they managed to find out who had deleted the code. The Guardians decided to find this person and retrieve the code to save Rocket's life. But Gamora warned them that the person was near the High Evolutionary and going there would be dangerous. She couldn't help them because she was in trouble too. Gamora sent her location to a friend for help, but unfortunately, her friend had been captured by Adam Warlock and his mother. When Gamora's location was sent, they discovered it too. The Guardians reached the High Evolutionary, who revealed his evil plan. He wanted to kill them all and take Rocket back. He claimed that Rocket was his subject and that he had lured the Guardians there. The High Evolutionary ordered his people to retrieve Rocket from the Guardian's ship and then proceeded to destroy the planet. Explosions were everywhere. Peter and Groot witnessed the destruction and fought against the High Evolutionary's people. They used their powerful guns and managed to capture the person with the code to save Rocket. The other Guardians realized that Peter and Groot were still on the ship and rushed to save them. However, Peter and Groot had already escaped with the person and headed straight to Rocket. They entered the code and deactivated the device near Rocket's heart. Peter healed his wounds, and Rocket started to feel better. Nebula called Peter, but he informed her that they had already left and were with Rocket in their ship. The High Evolutionary trapped the remaining Guardians, but they noticed many small creatures and animals that he had captured for his experiments. They decided to free them all and take them with them. Peter and his friends went to the High Evolutionary's ship to save the captured Guardians. Peter contacted his friend in Nowhere and asked him to come to their location. Once upon a time, Peter and his friends found themselves near the High Evolutionary's ship. They knew they had to save the other Guardians who were captured. So, they bravely went to the ship. A big fight broke out between the High Evolutionary, his people, and the Guardians of the Galaxy team. It was a tough battle, but the Guardians showed their bravery and smarts. They fought well and defeated their enemies, including the High Evolutionary himself. After the battle, the Guardians wanted to get rid of the High Evolutionary for good. They asked Rocket to kill him, but Rocket surprised everyone by saying no. He didn't want to become like the High Evolutionary, even if he was evil. This showed that Rocket had a good heart. The Guardians didn't just save themselves, they also freed all the people, animals, and creatures trapped on the High Evolutionary ship. They took them to a place called Nowhere, where they would be safe and free. During the rescue mission, Peter's friend, a dog, used his powers to connect Nowhere with the High Evolutionary ship. However, he used so much power that his device malfunctioned. Nowhere and the ship started drifting apart. Peter was left behind on the ship and thought he was going to die. He desperately tried to reach Nowhere but missed and found himself floating in space, struggling for air. Just when he thought it was the end, Adam Warlock appeared and saved him, bringing him to Nowhere. The Guardians decided to create a new world for all the animals, creatures, and humans they had rescued. They wanted to give them a good life and let them be free. Peter appointed Rocket as the new leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. With their mission complete, the Guardians went their separate ways to pursue their dreams. Peter, who had spent his whole life in space, decided to take a break and visit his grandfather on Earth. Gamora and the others also had their own dreams to chase. but his device malfunctions halfway. As a result, Nowhere and the High Evolutionary's spaceship drift apart. Everyone else makes it to Nowhere, but Peter is left behind on the ship. He panics and tries to leap towards the planet, but he misses and finds himself floating in space, struggling to breathe. Just as he thinks he is going under, Adam Warlock appears and rescues him. Adam brings Peter to Nowhere and saves his life.